Welcome to Manga Machinations! This is episode number 481, and this week we're doing a manga in motion. I'm Doxzu, and with me is Darfox8
Hello, everybody.
and Morgana Santilli.
Howdy.
Hello, everybody. Morgana is back. Seamus is back from Japan, but he got back yesterday. He is recovering from jet lag. We'll see him next week. Happy New Year, Morgana.
Happy New Year.
How was your New Year?
Uneventful. I stayed up till midnight, but nobody else did, so. And I was tired. I was real tired. By like 11, I was like, oh, another hour.
Yeah, I mean, I was dealing with the fireworks, which I mentioned when we podcasted last week. But yeah.
I got kids. I need sleep.
Yeah.
One day they'll be old enough where it'll be fun to like stay up. Right now it's not fun.
Are there any Italian traditions with New Year's, like we eat 12 grapes and stuff like that?
Yes, so we always made lentil soup. I think in Italy they do lentils and specific kind of like pork sausage. We never did the pork sausage, but lentils are supposed to represent prosperity because they look like coins.
Mm.
So you're supposed to eat lentil soup on the New Year so that you make money in the New Year. I did not do that this year because, again, I had kids. So
Wow, Cliff in our live chat is very excited about lentils.
yes,
He's like, lentils!
he knows.
He's also Italian. Yes, we are streaming our episode recording live on YouTube. youtube.com/mangamactv. Hopefully the stream will stay put today.
Yes, we're down to the healthy type of stream, not the unhealthy stream.
Yes, we also have Chris from Canada in chat. Cliff can't eat lentils.
Is that just because you've ate too much of them and you're sick of them?
I'm assuming allergy?
Yeah, legume allergy is a thing.
Wow. Bummer.
Cliff posted a question for us, but before I get to that and before I forget, Darfox, pull up the Manga Mac Coffee thank you page. Because I had put up a new goal after our Ooku, the Inner Chambers retrospective, got funded for a Berserk Psycho Selection. That has been funded. Thank you, Philip, for giving a very generous donation and getting that set off. So sometime in the future, we'll be finally covering Kentaro Miura's Berserk on this podcast again. Of course, thanks again to our wonderful supporters, Manga Machu, Vicky Dalton, and Lulu for the Oku Inner Chambers retrospective. And our other supporters, Deluid, Vicky Dalton, Philip, Jen, Mia, Dr. Malphus, Liquidist, 002, Wyatt, Poor Mexican 72, Annextine. I said Philip twice.
Yes, and you said Vicky Dalton twice because I let them on the list of general people because they have donated in the past.
Yes.
And
we have a lot of repeat donators. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. But yeah, that Berserk Psycho Selection will be done soon. It won't be a retrospective because Berserk is unfinished.
And it was too much anyways. It's a lot.
It is a lot. I'm not going to ask Morgana to read all of that.
Thank you.
Well, if you want to support us on Coffee, head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac. And you can buy us a coffee to help support us. I'll get a new goal up soon. Okay, we have a question in chat from Cliff, which is perfect. because I don't really have an email this week. Cliff asks, thoughts on Dragon Ball Daima, and what is our hype level for it? And can that and the new Bud Play game hold DBZ fans till DBZ SZN2? Dar, I don't know what any of this is.
So I can explain some of it. Dragon Ball Daima is a new. I think it's supposed to be a limited series announced, or it might even be a film. Like I said, I can explain some of this. That is basically like you know how the premise of Dragon Ball GT was Pilaf wished Goku was a kid again. Basically, they borrowed that premise and they're making it now canon. So for a limited time, all the characters are going to become kids again. So it's going to be Kid Goku running around with Kid Android 18 and Kid Chi Chi, and it's just like the whole universe got kidified. So it's supposed to be like this limited run kind of fun thing that happens.
Okay, yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah, some people really don't like the idea. I think it sounds perfectly fine and fun. The thing is that like a lot of modern Dragon Ball Super stuff is like it's kind of borrowing a little bit of the Dragon Ball original Dragon Ball ness, where it's just like is this supposed to be funny or cute or quirky?
You're talking about pre-Dragon Ball Z.
Exactly, like
Stuff.
when the
Yeah.
original manga run, where like there was a dog chief of police interacting with a dragon, and Kid Goku was in the mountains, naked with his cock hanging out.
Yep.
Like the sensibilities of that manga is pretty different from what you might look at like later on in the manga during the Cell Saga and Buu Saga or whatever. Like it evolved
Or
into
Super, yeah.
yeah. But I would say Super actually has like a lot, like Dragon Ball Super has a lot of like that original Dragon Ball like charm, and not like it just does a bunch of random jokes and or like one-off stuff. And this is more of that. I still haven't seen all of Super, so I'm not in the loop. I'm not the person who you would best ask about this stuff. I'm not sure what you're referring as the dub or Bud game. Maybe Budokai.
Oh, he's saying the Budokai. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So new Budokai, or SZN2 is super.
Season 2.
Super season 2. Yeah. I think it's a fun thing. I'm kind of interested in seeing what they do with Dragon Ball, because if they're gonna continue Dragon Ball, like it's not that interesting to me for them to just introduce another big bad that's that much more powerful. They're kind of being a little more creative with it and doing other stuff with it. So I think it's cool. Now don't worry, Cliff. I'm literally the old man now. I can't keep up with all the Dragon Ball stuff. I wish Elijah was in chat.
Speaking of feeling old, my husband was at Target yesterday, and he texts me and he goes, I have seen 3 different young men wearing hoodies that say thou shalt not cap. I was like, wow.
3?
That's right,
3.
Morgana.
3 in one
Millennials
Target.
are the older generation now. How does it feel?
It's interesting. Wait, aren't we all millennials here? Aren't you technically a millennial also, Dr.
I am technically a millennial. I'm at the very beginning of the millennial.
I think you and I
So
are
I'm
exactly.
technically crossover with Gen X, but
I think we're exactly a decade apart, you and me.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I have a cousin who's, I think he's probably like almost the same age as you, and he's like on that cusp too.
Morgana, you're making Cliff cringe.
Listen, if I had to know about Thou Shalt Not Cap, you all had to know.
I would take Thou Shalt Not Cap 100 times over the freaking like hentai sweaters.
Guy, yeah.
Like all those hentai sweaters with all like the ahegao, is that what it's called? Like the hentai face. That stuff is actually like gross, and people wear that shit because they think it's funny. Whatever.
But yes, Star, anything else to say about the Dragon Ball question?
No. I'm kind of interested in it. I want to watch it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your question, Cliff. We appreciate that. If you want to send questions over to our email, send them to mangamachinations@gmail.com. Or, ask us a question on our Discord, discord.me/mangamac. We're still playing Mahjong. I won big on New Year's Day. It was nice.
That's very auspicious.
Let me tell you, both games, we played 3 games. I think each
man.
time Darfox came out with like a huge win at the beginning and then just like started to lose it like right afterwards.
Lady Luck giveth, Lady Luck take it away.
All right, let's move along to our next segment. What you been reading? So Morgana, you have been away for a bit. Did you read anything over your break?
I read fuck all.
Yeah.
That's not entirely true. I read some like novels, but I got all these manga like right before I went on break, and I was like, yes, I'm so excited to read these over break. And guys, holidays when you have kids is not holidays.
No.
You're just managing kids all day.
Yep.
And then you're too tired to do anything at night. And like my mother-in-law's here, so we're spending some time with her before we all go to bed. And then there's only like an hour before I want to sleep, and I'm like, I'm not gonna sit here and read a manga. There's like so many things. Anyway,
we're gonna have to watch that Yu Yu Hakusho instead.
Yeah. Well, that was this week. Yeah. No, I did not read anything. Last night, so I watched the last episode of Yu Yu Hakusho last night, but I watched it after watching Edward Scissorhands because that's what my daughter watched for movie night.
Nice.
And I was like, I love Edward Scissorhands, and now we have to watch the last episode of Yu Yu Hakusho. This is like I have very different feelings about these things, which we'll get into. But yeah, my daughter today was like, "Can I have Scissorhands movie, please?"
Cute.
I was like, yeah, I guess so. Like, I feel like, I don't know. We weren't gonna watch that, but everything else we wanted to watch wasn't streaming. We were gonna do Casper, then we were gonna do Corpse Bride, then we were gonna do Beetlejuice, and none of them were streaming. They were all streaming around Halloween. Like, all right, I guess we do go to the next one. It's Edward Scissorhands.
I'm surprised your daughter is into that, because I remember watching that when I was young when it came out, and I was scared.
I saw Edward Scissorhands around the same age as her for the first time, around 3 or 4.
You were freaked out by the end scene?
No,
it's kind of dark at the end.
It gets super dark. No, but I loved it. And it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So, no, she doesn't get scared. We've tried. Part of us is like, my husband keeps saying like, what if we watch something like really actually scary? I'm like, listen, I don't want her to actually have nightmares. She's like, I'm just curious as to whether she would. Like, what is her threshold? We have no idea. But today she cried because we took down the Christmas tree and she was really sad. So she's still, she's not a sociopath. She just likes scary movies.
Damn, you took down the Christmas tree already?
Yeah, today's the last day of Christmas officially, January 6th. The Epiphany. I pushed to keep it till the 6th. James would take it down the day after Christmas if he could.
Wow.
Somebody at work was saying, because at work they have a big Christmas tree set up, and they're like, it's bad luck. Why haven't they take it down? I'm like, well, it's bad luck to have it up after Christmas. I'm like, I didn't say this out loud, but I was like, I'm pretty sure like this is a big cultural thing to have it up to like a certain date.
Yeah. Do you celebrate the Epiphany at all, Dar?
No.
Is that something that? Okay.
No, I thought it was like. I'm not religious at all, and many years I just haven't celebrated Christmas at all. But like I thought it was like the Three Kings thing or something.
Yeah, that's the Epiphany is Three Kings Day.
Okay, so it is the same thing. So I thought that was actually the 7th, so it's the 6th.
It's the 6th.
I might take it down tonight then. I was gonna wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, so in Italy they do La Befana. So So there's an Italian Christmas witch, guys. She comes around the night before the Epiphany or the Three Kings. She's looking for the Christ child, so she leaves presents for all the kids because she doesn't know which one is the Christ child. And so she puts presents in your shoes. So we did La Befana last night, or this morning, and then now it's time to take everything down.
How cute.
That's pretty cute.
Cliff is popping off in chat.
Cliff, up to March. I would, because I'm that lazy slash it's hard for me to start things. I think that's the undiagnosed ADHD. Starting things is the hardest thing for me.
We had a live tree, and it's just getting crispy.
Oh yeah, live tree.
Oh, we have a live tree, Morgana. That thing is staying up till March until it's like nice and dead.
Well, that's your father-in-law, right? Like,
my father-in-law loves Christmas, and considering how much he has to spend to buy those trees here in Hawaii, that thing is being up well past its prime.
I can only imagine. I mean, our tree was expensive, and it wasn't that big, and we grow them here.
Cliff says the Christmas witch put oranges in my mom and uncle's socks.
Yep, Aubrey got an orange in his shoe because he's too little for anything else. But Severina got a chocolate orange.
Nice.
Which is
those are delicious.
They're really freaking good. Yeah, I hadn't had one in a long time, and James bought a few.
I should buy one now.
Yeah, go get you a Terry's chocolate orange, man. Those are the bomb.
Well, okay, Christmas tangent aside. Darfox, you read anything?
The only thing I've read is Remedy theories after beating Control 2. Or sorry, Alan Wake 2. So no.
It finally happened.
Oh, that I would finally beat Alan Wake 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a while. Like I said, I have trouble starting and doing things sometimes. So it took like Alan Wake 2, people don't know, it's a video game. It's a sequel to a video game that was kind of like a cult classic. It wasn't like the biggest hit, and it's like really old. It's like over a decade old, and it somehow got a sequel after all these years. So you'd think it'd be like, like Christmas for me, and it was Christmas. Like I was really excited to play the game, but like it still took me a long time. Like playing games is like a chore sometimes for me. It sounds weird, but
for context, Darfox bought that when it came out in October.
Yeah, I mean, I have to pay my Remedy tax. That I'm a Remedy fan, so I gotta buy it.
And I ended up buying it in November during like the Christmas like sale or whatever, and I beat it before him.
You're good about playing games though. Well, like when you have a game that you're interested in, like you'll play it.
Yeah,
like,
I usually just like every day I'm like I'm working on it. Yeah, I haven't finished my second playthrough when I need to, but
which is the secret of like getting foreign games. It isn't sitting down and playing it for 6 hours. It's to play at least a little bit every day.
It's consistency. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the secret to everything. But yeah, excited that I finally beat it. It was I looked up the differences in the New Game Plus because the New Game Plus has some extra story content. Because I know it would take me forever to beat it again. I thought that was pretty interesting. Like the original ending is kind of inconclusive. And then the New Game Plus I think isn't really very inconclusive at all. So I guess I'll spoil that for you, Dogzo.
Yeah, I kind of figured I should really sit down and finish that, but I was doing a bunch of other smaller games like, man, I can't even remember what I played. Oh man, it's bad. I'm at the end of Cocoon right now, and then I played Jusant. Which is the climbing game. You're just climbing up,
right?
Which is very good and short. But yeah, anyway, we're not a video game podcast. Add that to the bingo board. Video game tangent.
Speaking of bingo boards, I was given this gift, this mug that you can see on screen. This is a mug, the same mug they used in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So it's a very nice gift. Apparently this is a mug, it's a travel mug. And there's mugs that are like this that are even wider at the base because they're meant to be taken on like ships, so that when the ship is waving back and forth, the coffee doesn't spill over. So very practical, actual practical use because it's pretty hard for me to knock it over. It's just like, it's a big fat base. But I don't have anything in it right now because I don't drink coffee. I only drink tea. Um, and I already have another Star Trek mug that I use to drink tea, which is just from StarTrek.com. You can personalize the mug. So this is normally where I drink tea. So I might take one to work maybe and start drinking tea at work. I don't know because I have a desk. So I don't know, but I figured show and tell was worth bringing up. Since you brought up Bingo card, might as well put another one on
Dark
there.
Fox displays something. Hey, that wide base one, like, is the middle, the interior of that cup? Does it spread out to the wide stuff, or
Yes,
does it
here
just go straight?
I'm gonna. It has like a little cap you can put on that helps to keep it a little warm because it helps the steam not go all the way out. So
Okay.
I'll twist it out. I'll show you. Might be visible on camera. I'm gonna kind of rotate it around, but yeah, it basically it contours the outside. So yes, it is bigger on, or it is as big on the inside as it is the outside. So it holds quite a bit of liquid. It's pretty big. It also has like a rubberized bottom for even more grip. So it's a very good handy mug. But the only reason I have it is because they use it in Deep Space Nine. So
Wow, nerd.
big nerd. It's a nice gift. Cool.
Very nice. Well, I have some stuff to talk about that is actual content. I watched some anime that started because it's the winter season of like 2024. I watched the new hotness, Delicious in Dungeon.
Ah, yes.
Isn't the manga put out by Yen Press?
It sure is.
I'm sure they're excited.
Yeah, we're all pretty excited. I have to admit that I have not read Delicious in Dungeon yet. It is one that I've been wanting to, and I do watch the anime as well.
I've only read what we read here for the podcast, which is the very
we
beginning,
read the first
long
volume.
time ago.
Surprise, Seamus didn't like it.
Not at all surprised.
Seamus, it was the beginning of us seeing Seamus doesn't like things that like get into the nitty gritty, interesting details about like, oh, this is how you cook this mushroom like monster. Seamus ain't got no time for that shit. He does not care. The anime is on Netflix, and yeah, it's another one of those where they are doing one episode a week, even though it's on Netflix. They've been doing that for a while now, Darvox, kind of on the sly. They've been doing it in Japan for a long time now, just following the weekly releases, but yeah, not all available at the same time.
I figure once they saw like the success that Disney was having with like weekly releasing Mandalorian and probably seeing their own numbers drip or fall in relation to like binge watching and just crapping out all the content all at once, they're probably experimenting and see what they can get away with.
Yeah, I mean, like, it works in Japan because they're already doing it, so I guess they're just following that. And I think they did, like, a couple other TV shows that were on weekly releases from, like, Western productions. I forget what it was, but something, I remember something was on Netflix and it was, like, going out weekly. But, Delicious in Dungeon is very good. It's done by Trigger. And the first episode is pretty fast. Like I was surprised they were able to get as much in one episode. They basically cover the first two like recipes already. So I wonder if the pace is going to be super fast for this.
I remember the trailer looking really good, which was really exciting. Big relief. I think it's been a long time coming, kind of. People have been wanting this one for a while.
Oh yeah. And now that the manga is done, like, it makes sense that they're going to be able to animate it and maybe do the whole thing in one go. I'm guessing it'll take 2 curs, so it'll take like 24, 26 episodes, as opposed to like one season of 12 or 11. There's just too much material. I'll be watching that with my wife. She watched the first episode and enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it seems like something my husband would like to.
Yeah.
That was like an early manga we talked about. I mean, I guess it wasn't that early, but like it was a one of the examples I like to bring up when you talked about like, man, they could make a manga about everything. How cool is this? A cooking manga about like, monsters you find in a dungeon. And I remember you talking about specifically the whole anatomy of a slime and how their stomach is on the outside, and
Mm-hmm.
and that creativity. I was like, wow, manga's amazing. Heard it here first. We were
And then you read Investor Z, and you're like, they should not make a manga about everything.
yeah. Or if they make a manga about money and investment, then don't make uh money the thing you praise. You know what I'm saying? I think
Mhm.
I think you
That's
can.
just
Yeah,
it's just shilling for capitalism, man. That's what
yeah,
that book is. It's not a book.
yeah. I think you can actually make an interesting manga about making money and about the business of investment and all that shit. But that wasn't it.
Chris from Canada asked me what a core is. A core is basically one season, and in anime, the seasons are split into quarters for the year. So there's winter, spring, summer, and fall. And a cour is basically 12 episodes. 11 to 12
Usually,
is how many you can get out in, like, it's a 3-month period. So they should make a manga about animals in the zoo and monkeys throwing poop at people. They kind of did. My Hero Academia manga
wait,
creator
wait.
Kohei Horikoshi did a manga about like an enchanted zoo. That was kind of like that.
Okay, the way you led that on with is you're really talking shit about My Hero Academia.
No,
Like,
I mean,
that manga wasn't bad. It was his debut series, and it went on for like 3 volumes or something, but it ended shortly. And then he did like a couple others, but he got the My Hero Academia, so that's good. Oh, Cliff
Good
brought
for him.
up Solo Leveling, which was what I was going to talk about next.
Did you watch
Also
that?
put out by Yen Press.
also published by Yen/Eyes Press.
Mm-hmm.
We're having a good season, this guy.
Well, Morgana, I was talking to somebody else about this, and they were not happy about that first episode.
I have not seen it yet. But I did see the trailer and remember it looked, at least visually, looked good. I admit I've also not read Solo Leveling, despite the fact that it's like one of our bestsellers.
I watched that first episode, and they made an interesting choice where they're showing something that happens way later, even though this, like, what they showed was a prequel of that event. So they tease something that I think that's going to be at the end of like their season. And then they got into like the actual like main character and everything. And the pacing was a little strange. I think I understand what the other person was saying about how they didn't like the pacing, and like the manhwa is way violent, but obviously you can't do
Yes.
that in anime, so it's pretty toned down. I have yet to see what the second episode will be, because that's the one that's going to be really gory, or should be really gory. So it has a chance to get like better, but they also threw in a character that shows up way later, which is basically like the main female character. And I think they just want to introduce her early, so they changed that up.
Yeah, a few things have changed. From what I understand, the characters are also Japanese now instead of Korean, which I think was an interesting choice.
Yeah, that sounds dodgy almost. Interesting.
One thing that was interesting about the anime was they kept the Korean names of the characters.
Did they?
Yeah.
I thought they had changed the names to the Japanese.
No, that's for the Japanese. When they published Solo
Oh.
Leveling in Japan, they changed those characters to Japanese names.
Ah, I see.
But for the anime, they were smart, and they're like, most people read the manhwa. They're going to recognize these characters by the original Korean names, so they kept that.
Interesting.
Even though it's
interesting.
like the voice, it's Japanese voice acting, they're saying the Korean names.
Okay, I remember seeing the trailer. They used the Japanese names, but maybe that was just for the trailer.
I
Possibly.
wonder.
the anime I watched on Crunchyroll did have the Korean names. Sorry, go ahead, Dar.
I wonder if that's a common practice because I know very little about what localizing looks like in Japan, like when a Hong Kong film releases in Japan with a Japanese dub, if they give the characters Japanese names, if that's common or not. I have no idea.
I think it depends. You know, if it's obviously set in Hong Kong, it's kind of stupid to like pretend that's Japan. But with Solo Leveling in the Japanese manga version, they changed the main character to Shun Mizushino, and they set the location to Japan. Which is a little weird because there are some Korean cultural stuff that's in there, but I guess in general it works that you can make that transition for the manga version.
I do know, this is only tangentially related, I do know that a lot of K-pop bands also release Japanese versions of their songs because they have such huge Japanese fan bases, which I think is fascinating. Yeah, the relationship between Korea and Japan, politically and then, like, pop culturally, is, I suspect, very complicated.
I think the OP for Solo Leveling is done by K-pop star.
Makes sense.
Pretty sure. But yeah, the animation itself was good. I'm just interested to see them go from like putting in some things that weren't at the beginning to now like following the actual story. And I don't care about the gore that much. I kind of dislike the gore in the actual manhwa. It's a little extreme. But yeah, I'll keep watching that for now. But there's a ton of new anime. And Cliff, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop talking about anime now. I must talk about manga. This is Manga Machinations. And we are going to talk about a live action adaptation in the main segment, so we need to put some manga in here. I read some manga this week that made me very happy. Cliff asking questions about Japanese history. I'm not going to answer this, Cliff.
He doesn't know. We're gonna meet Seamus.
Yeah, I mean, I do know, Morgana. I'm not an idiot. It's not that we need Seamus here to like answer these questions. I mean, Japan did invade Korea. This was like right before the start of the Edo period. But yeah,
there are lots of issues between Japan and Korea. I think that's one of many.
There's a lot, yeah, and it's very
So Japan did a lot of invading, not just Korea.
Yes, it's mostly Japan did the invading. But let me talk about some manga. I read 2 series by Hiromasa Okujima. Morgana will recognize him as the manga artist of Bad Boys Happy Home.
Oh, yes.
He does a lot of great manga about delinquents. I recently talked about Babam Babam Bam Vampire, where a vampire is living in a hot springs like onsen bathhouse, and he wants to like basically groom the son there so he can eat him while he's still a virgin. And the son gets mixed up with like other delinquents that are Frankenstein, and there's vampire hunters, and it's everything Hiromasa Okujima has done up till now, because he also did a delinquent bathhouse manga. The thing about Hiromasa Okujima is, remember when we did our last creator cross section, we took a look at a manga artist and really dived into a lot of their works? We did the guy, Tsuchiyama. He did the gourmet, what is it, Shoku King, all those food manga, ramen, Kenka Ramen.
Yes.
Hiromasa Okujima is that type of manga artist. He's not like super popular, but he's popular enough, and he's not making like really fantastical, like super detailed, well-drawn manga. But god damn it, he is making entertaining manga. He's making manga. And his manga is good and fun. I'm linking Morgana and Darfox to one of the manga I read. Akira #2 starts out quite violently. where there's two delinquents fighting. The blonde-haired guy is Tsutomu. He is the number one delinquent
Wow.
at Rikuzan High School. The manga starts with him ripping off somebody's ear. Dar, don't show that. It's very violent, even though it's censored.
Oh, the ear. Let's do the ear.
But this manga is not about Tsutomu. It is about Akira, his number two. A delinquent who is basically Tsutomu's like patsy. Has to buy him a bunch of food, take care of him, follow him around. But the thing about Akira is he secretly plots to defeat Tsutomu and become number one. And that is why he considers himself the number two. It's a standard delinquent manga where like it's kind of some comedy stuff. As you flip through, there's a good Kazuume's face at one point when a delinquent comes flying through like a window. So, you know. Hiromasa Okujima does like good comedy stuff, and he does good delinquent stuff. And this is like not a long series, but it follows Akira as he plots to try and take down Tsutomu, and then other delinquents come and try to like take his spot, or like challenge him or challenge Tsutomu, and he has to defend his position. It's a good, entertaining delinquent manga. Morgana would love it. You see that Kazuume's face, Darfox?
Oh, yes.
You pulled it up. Not the first time I've seen Hiromasa Okujima do a Kazuume's, and it's good. Now,
I think a manga is always heightened by an Umez face.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. So this manga was pretty good, Morgana. But then I finally got back and finished my first Hiromasa Okujima manga. Itadaki Nariagari Meshi. This manga, Morgana, I will link you and Darfox to it right now. It's about a delinquent, a first-year freshman delinquent, taking on the strongest third-year delinquent, Brass Knuckle. And the thing about our main character, I'm trying to remember what his name. Hold on, flipping through these pages. His nickname is Kenny. And the thing about Kenny is, he's really good at cooking. So even though he loses his fight to Brass Knuckle eats his bento. And it's like, holy shit! This shrimp fry is so good. It feels like I'm being beat up by a shrimp, and then there's a drawing of a shrimp in a delinquent outfit beating him up, knocking him out with flavor.
Oh, it's very good.
So after this, where Brass Knuckle praises him about his bento, knocking him out, Kenny decides, I'm gonna become the mama of this high school.
Yes.
Not the bancho, not the big boss. He's gonna become the mama and knock everybody out with his cooking. It's a delinquent cooking manga, Morgana, and it's awesome.
This is so good. So Bad Boys Happy Home, from what I recall, was his first foray into BL. He's been writing BL this whole time. I don't know if he's aware. Like, this is all the gayest shit I've ever seen. Every single one of these. Gay.
I mean, delinquent manga is all about bros and rivalry.
Yes.
And that's only one step removed from kissing and emotions.
I mean, violence is very intimate.
Violence is intimate.
I mean, like kissing somebody is nerve-wracking. Imagine like straddling somebody and punching the shit out of them. That is it's just like the same thing. You are invading their space so much.
Do you know what else is intimate? Food.
True. Yes.
Yeah, so this leans more heavily on comedy, but with Kenny introducing the food, and sometimes, other delinquents come at him, and he's not the strongest fighter, but like if they knock over his bento that he's prepared, like spent all morning preparing, he fucking snaps and beats the shit out of them. It's like, pay for the tomatoes, you motherfucker! It's great.
I thought you were gonna say that when they knock over the bench, they're like, "What is that heavenly aroma?" and they have to like eat it off the floor or something.
Right?
Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do.
Like throws onigiri in their faces to ward them off.
I just love the catch line of Kenny being like, I'm not going to become the big boss of this high school. I'm going to become the mama of this high school. His nickname becomes Mama, and everyone's like really into him. Come on, Kenny, give us some food. Please feed us. And Kenny's just like, all right. Very similar kind of like characteristics to Akira number 2's Akira as well. Not the strongest guy, but can't help but helping out and like building camaraderie through that. But the food angle is just great. As far as I'm concerned, Hiro Masama should be making like 40 volumes of this manga, food manga, but it ended after 7 volumes, so it's kind of a bummer. Though his vampire manga has been going on longer, so good for him. But again, he's a working man's manga artist. He's making a shit ton of different entertaining manga. Just like Kenka Ramen guy making a bunch of food manga. It's basically the same. Hiromasa Okujima is making various delinquent manga, but they're all entertaining. Okay, so that's what I read. Okay, we're going to be moving along to our main segment, but before that, let me talk about next week. Next week, Seamus will be back, and we'll be doing a one-shot. We're going to read Henkaipan by Eldo Yoshimizu. This is a single-volume manga series by Eldo Yoshimizu, who did Ryuko, which we really enjoyed. That was 2 volumes. So yeah, Morgana, you're finally gonna get to look at Eldo Yoshimizu's artwork.
Yeah, I'm excited.
The man is style, is substance. So I know nothing about Henkaipan, except that it is put out by Titan Comics. So I expect we are gonna have some complaints about the localization quality, because they tend to not be great.
Womp womp.
Remember, they also did Adam the Beginning. And that was
Yeah.
Also not great. But, we're going to be here for Eldo Yoshimizu's art. So next week, Henkaipan. Stay tuned for that. Okay, everybody, we're going to take a short break. And after that, we'll be back with our main segment, Manga in Motion, on Yu Yu Hakusho on Netflix. Okay, everybody, we are back. It's time to do Manga in Motion on Yu Yu Hakusho, the Netflix live-action adaptation. This came out in December of 2023. 5 episodes total, adapting Yoshihiro Togashi's classic shonen battle manga, Yu Yu Hakusho. Before we went on break, and before we had our Manga Mac Awards, we talked about this a little bit. I think Morgana had watched 1 episode at that point. I had finished the entire thing. Darfox had not watched it at all. We are now here to talk about the whole thing. The whole shebang. I probably should have looked into a little bit more details about the actual production. I didn't. But it is it's a Japanese production. The director of the series is Sho Tsukikawa. And yeah, I guess I can say It basically covers the beginning of Yu Yu Hakusho, but the story has been reformed. So the main thing is that is it Suzuki who's the bad guy that wants to open the hole?
Shoot. Takyo.
Yes, Takyo. So Takyo wants to open a hole to the demon world. Sakyo, and it's basically about Yusuke becoming a spirit detective, and then he meets Kurama and Hiei. So it's basically the start of the spirit detective part, skipping over the entire need to resurrect at the very beginning of Yu Yu Hakusho.
They skip that. They kind of skip the Saint Beasts.
The Saint Beasts are completely not there. They go into a super truncated training part under Genkai. And then for the showdown to stop Sakyo, they have to face the enemies from the finals of the Dark Tournament. And that they do that in 5 episodes. And yeah, there's a lot to say about this. I want to turn to Darfox first because Morgana and I already spoke about this a little before we did our Manga Mac Awards. Darfox, tell us your thoughts about the live action Yu Yu Hakusho.
I enjoyed the production and the performances. I thought it was mostly. Well, that was like an inoffensive adaptation. If you're gonna make 5 episodes out of this stuff, I think their cuts were okay. Heavy cuts, but it's kind of it works fine. They kind of kept a lot of the core of the characters. They took out a lot of the humor and just kind of the characters hanging out and kind of getting to know each other. But I found them mostly enjoyable. I don't think it's a bad adaptation.
That's it? That's your general thoughts?
Yeah, that's my general thoughts, yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Morgana, last time we talked, you had seen the first episode, and I remember you had liked it. What are your thoughts after finishing all 5?
I think there are a lot of good things about it. I think all of the problems that I have with it stem from the fact that it's far too truncated. I think with the resources they had and the time that they had, they made some pretty elegant choices to sew things together in a new way. I didn't hate that entirely, but I do think one of the strengths of Yu Yu Hakusho is how the characters interact, and a lot of the choices that were made minimize the amount that the characters get to interact and kind of give a little bit of the wrong impression about why these characters care about each other. I think the thing that got me the most. I mean, I'm going to start going into details here, I guess, but so in the original, in the manga and the anime, Yusuke has to fight. I can't remember the other demon. Is it Goki? And yes. Kurama and Hiei, right? Because they stole these objects. And they did Kurama's story pretty much straight, right? And Goki too, actually. They did both of those pretty much straight on. But with Hiei, Yusuke never defeated him. There was no real conclusion to their battle. And yet they had to go into battle together or go in to rescue Keiko and Yukina together. And I had a problem with that because the whole reason, as far as I can tell, that Hiei even deigns to join Yusuke's group is because he respects Yusuke for beating him.
Yep.
And so that was like the first thing that I was like,
And they-
I don't know.
They changed it to he needs to save Yukina, his sister.
Yes. Which, I didn't have a problem with that. I think the casting was really mostly very good. I don't like the casting for Botan. I find that she's a little dainty, and I think of Botan as a robust young woman. There's no Shizuru, so that's a huge mark against it.
There's a lot of people.
I know, but there's no Shizuru, which is the really important part. My favorite big sister. Also, she has that whole weird not romance with Sakyo, which just didn't happen at all.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of basically because they had to truncate it so much, the relationships and the kind of a lot of the emotions fall flat. Genkai only being there for one episode sucks. We
But
don't
somehow
get.
we're supposed to care that she died.
Yeah, that bothered me. She was great. The casting choice they made for her was excellent. Again, I
Meiko
really.
Kaji, the original, yeah.
She's amazing.
She's like Lady Snowblood from the past, and she was the mom from What Did You Eat Yesterday. She's great.
She's perfect. They made a lot of really, really good casting choices. My only real issue is with Botan, and that's whatever. I don't have a problem with the actress herself. That's not how I envision Botan really.
Did anybody else freak out when like you realized that Botan had like high heels on? Like for some reason,
Right.
like the rest of the costume is almost like perfect, right? It's just outside of like it looking really like artificial and cosplay, like it's like right. But it was like, why does she have like these high heels on? It was just like for some reason, it's just really like rubbed me the wrong way. Like she's
That didn't bother me so much as she was never in school uniform. She was never in her cute little bomber jacket and jeans. Like, the assumption was that people couldn't see her, whereas she used to, like, disguise herself as human when she came to talk to Yusuke, Like, that was fun. Botan was fun. She was, like, part of the gang, and this was kind of more like...
She's exposition.
Yeah, she's the exposition fairy. So that's disappointing. Koenma only ever being an adult is a little disappointing too.
Also confusing, like I mentioned.
Also confusing.
If you've never seen Yu Yu Hakusho, there's a man. He's supposed to be like the ruler of like the underworld, and he has a little, suck pacifier in his mouth the entire time. It's strange.
My husband said that he didn't think that if he hadn't watched the anime, he would care about this series at all. This live action version, and I think that's right. Like, I think the live action One Piece made a lot of people interested in One Piece. I don't think this is going to get the same reaction. I think this is much more for people who already care about Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, Cliff made a comment in chat saying that the One Piece is the gold standard for anime live action adaptations. I would say at this point, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Against
all odds.
They put a lot of extra care into the One Piece live action. But Cliff, basically the Yu Yu Hakusho, imagine if you had the One Piece live adaptation, and in those, 8 episodes, I think, you tried to do everything, and you inserted a bunch of final fights from, like, up to the Alabaster arc. Like, you, for no reason whatever, at the end of East Blue, you bring in Crocodile, and that's, like, a big bad fight at the end. That's essentially what they did with Yu Yu Hakusho.
But you know what's funny about Yu Yu Hakusho though? Like, as much as the core characters suffer, like, pretty much everybody suckers. Pretty much everybody suffers from having just the 5 episodes. Like you said, Hiei probably suffers the most. But even like Kurobara and Kurama suffer some because you just miss the time with them there to really establish the characters. But like they kind of got Toguro right. Like by the end of it, like Toguro felt like Toguro, and his whole like deal with like just his deep guilt and his weird, just like the journey he goes on. like they really did that character well, and I just was really surprised by it. I was like,
Yes.
how did you pull this shit out of your ass? And it actually worked by the end of it.
My
That was shocking.
my gripe about that is that his relationship with Yusuke isn't really established very well.
No.
And we find out all his shit in the last fucking episode, right when
Yep.
he dies. Like
Yep.
that's my problem. But you're right. No, I think they did. Like I mean, Togoro's a really popular villain. He's a good villain. I mean,
Which
he
is
is
why they wanted to put him in this live action.
And I get it, but I don't think it would have been bad to go with the Saint Beast arc. I know it's not my favorite, but like I want the Saint Beast arc exists so that the characters can become
Bros.
friends. Yeah, like that exists. Even and yeah, I just that's my problem is like I don't feel like these characters care about each other. I mean, maybe Yusuke and Kuwabara to a degree, like they did have a lot of time together. Kind of love Kuwabara. I know, like his hair isn't right, but
He does not have the proper pompadour, but the actor was good.
He's very cute. I liked him. Also, I do want to say, I am very pleased with the things they did with Keiko.
Yeah,
I think they did really right by her. She's pretty badass for just a normal teenage girl. I think they,
I agree. Her
she's
bad
brave.
wig aside, she was very good.
They all have bad wigs. It's fine.
They all have bad wigs.
That you know what it is too. Like something like looking at Kurama, like it just kind of looks flat. I'm like, you could have just like kept his hair black, like just use his regular hair, and then like hint it a little bit with like a burgundy, like just kind of imply the red.
Kurama's hair is one of the worst wigs.
It's pretty
so
bad.
It's so bad.
The unnaturally colored hairs are tough.
They are tough, but like you can do better. You can do better. I totally agree with you, Morgana. That's basically what I saw after seeing all 5 episodes is because there are so many good points, like the actors are so good, Takumi Kitamura as Yusuke is especially like outstanding. The way he moves, the way he runs, the way he smokes a cigarette, like everything about his mannerisms is Yusuke, and it's so good. And it's wasted on this story that truncates way too many things. And I just don't understand because they have Netflix money. I mean, obviously they made bad choices in wigs, so I don't know why they didn't use their money for that. But like, I rewatched this week, and I only got through 2 episodes in English. Not because the English dub was bad, it's just because I was just like, I don't want to watch this show anymore. But in the first episode, they show Sakyo and Tarakane. By the way, the actor who plays Tarakane, fucking amazing. That Tarakane looks
Right?
so good.
Oh yeah, the small guy, right? The business guy.
Small asshole, like chubby piggy, rich billionaire asshole. He looks perfect.
Right out of
I
the
was like astounded by how perfect. I
Yes.
was like, where did they find him? It's very possible he's wearing a fat suit, which I have mixed feelings about. But his face and his like attitude, he was great.
He was good villain. But like in the first episode, they show a scene where Sakyo is running a casino, and that's where we're introduced to Tarukane and Sakyo. That casino doesn't ever come up again, but the casino is like it's a good set. They spent a lot of money on that set for one fucking scene.
Guys, priorities.
It's such a weird choice. And then to spend so much money on like a throwaway set and not want to like try and make this a full ongoing seasonal series, Maybe it was from a production standpoint, they were told they only get one shot at this. And they just decided, well, we gotta have Toguro because Toguro's the most like popular villain antagonist story. But I can fix this, Dar. I can workshop this to make this work. Okay?
You can't fix him. You gotta let him go at a certain point.
No, listen to me. You do the beginning like you did the first episode is, whatever. I didn't like the action. We'll talk about that more in detail later. But the first episode, you have Yusuke die and then come back. The second episode, you have him battle, like, do what you basically did here, battle Goki, whatever. I'm thinking maybe, like, the third episode, halfway through, you truncate it by having Yusuke go off against Hiei and beat them. And then you throw away Sakyo until later. And in the fourth episode, you replace the order. You do the rescuing of Yukimura. That's the ice girl, right?
Yukina.
Yukina.
You do the rescuing of Yukina in episode 4. And then in episode 5, you do the Saint Beast battle. And truncate that into one episode where, like, they all battle and fight and do protect. And then at the end of episode 5, where everything is fixed, you do a teaser for the next season where Toguro shows back up and, like, shows that he actually, schooled Yusuke and barely used any of his power. And then next season, you do the full fucking Dark Tournament. Dark Fox, you put up the fucking meme.
But you're right.
Is it Charlie Day from fucking, like, Always
the
Sunny?
Pepe Silva meme?
Yes. Yeah.
But here's the thing. So in this fifth episode, they kind of all fought their own member of Team Toguro, or what would have been Team Toguro if it was the Dark Tournament. That would have made so much more sense with the Saint Beasts, because there's only the 4, like, that in that arc. It's not like they're battling team after team after team. There's the one group of Saint Beasts, and that makes perfect sense for a single episode.
And, like, it's very weird for in that 5th episode where Kuruma fights against Karasu, all of a sudden he turns into Yoko.
Yeah,
like, why didn't he do that earlier? Or why he suddenly busts out his, like,
Dragon of Darkness Flame? I hated that. Yep.
Yeah.
It's moment obsession. They obsessed with the moments.
Yes, it's what we complain about Dark Fox in the live action Bleach movie.
Yeah. Also the live action I'm a Hero movie. Yes. They needed to get to the mall sequence where he finally uses his gun. Spoilers for the I'm a Hero film. But, like, it almost ruins the whole idea of the character if you give him that hero moment.
Without the build-up.
Yeah, and they really wanted to actually make him a hero. When he's not a hero, he's actually, like, kind of a weirdo. And it's moment obsession. They obsess over the moments, because we as anime fans, we obsess over the moments as well. We know that moment where, like, the heroes fighting the villain, and then they play the original OP, and then they do the extra attack and the final attack, or they make up an attack, and it's like that moment that hits so well. That's just a core memory of you being an anime fan. We obsess over that as well. So I think I understand why they make that mistake in production, but they need to put storytelling before, like, moment fandom,
I'm telling you could have had the Toguro introduction, so he's still there in this, like, first season, and then do Dark Tournament, because now you can't do Dark Tournament even if they get approved for more live action Yu Yu Hakusho.
They
skipped it.
They totally burned it.
We'll never have Shu. We'll never have Irish speaking Jin.
Oh no, Jin.
Yeah, no, The moment thing you're talking about, I think that, the problem is, like, when you whip out Yoko Kurama, when you whip out Dragon of the Darkness Flame, those don't mean anything when you haven't watched these characters fight almost at all. Like, you haven't seen Kurama fight, and, like, the whole thing in the original was that he couldn't become Yoko. He had to get tricked into it in the midst of the Dark Tournament.
Notice during his backstory about his mom, they didn't even talk about the burn.
Yeah.
He just said, "Oh, she became sick, and suddenly I cared for her." It's like, why?
Yeah.
You just describe yourself as a fucking cold, heartless demon.
Yep. Yeah.
No, that's weird.
I like the casting choice for Kurama, but I do feel like he didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to, like, show us that character. And same with Hiei. I think they were both really good. I wanted more of them interacting with each other. I wanted more of them interacting with Yusuke and Kuwabara. Like there was a little bit of it, like, but also, like, from the jump, Kuwabara knows that Yukina is Hie's sister in this. And they're like, no, that's not okay. Like, that's not how that goes.
There's so much dynamics that are missing.
They have that Yukina moment, even though Kuwabara doesn't, read her mind and see that flashback of the guy being shot. That happens in real time instead. The audience, see it, but Kuwabara doesn't see it, and then he still has that moment. It's like, please don't hate humans. What?
Yeah.
Like you talked about how Yusuke didn't defeat Hiei. That fight, I don't remember how it was in the manga, but in the anime, I remember very vividly. He wins by ricocheting his spirit gun off of the mirror and hitting Hiei in the back, direct hit in the back, and fucks him up. That like kind of perfunctory end to that fight is informed so much with how Kurama reacted to that. He finds it very hilarious that like Yusuke just pulled that shit out of his ass, and it worked. It showed that Yusuke, how scrappy he is and how like inventive he is in the moment, and how he actually couldn't go toe to toe with Hiei, so he pulled that out of his ass. And all that stuff kind of builds up and leads up to like moments when Kurama does something really cold-blooded, and you've seen him laughing with friends. So when he does something cold-blooded, like, oh shit, Kurama, there's some evil running deep beneath Kurama right there. It matters when Yusuke's fighting Togashi, and wait.
Toguro.
No,
Togashi is the
he's not
manga
fighting Togashi. He's not, well, maybe you could say Togashi's always wrestling with his characters in some way. But when he fights Toguro, he can't come up with something inventive anymore. Like he literally has to go toe to toe with him, and that's why Toguro like forces him by like quote unquote killing Kuwabara, and it's that moment where like
they barely had a connection with Kuwabara and Yusuke in like this live action at the point.
And one of the important things about what Toguro did during the Dark Tournament was he purposefully missed all of Kuwabara's vital points. And that says a lot about Toguro as a character, and that was missing here.
Truncated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the moment obsession. You get the moments and you kind of pantomime them relatively well, but you're literally just pantomiming. It's not. They don't have any of the scaffolding, the stuff to hold them up.
It doesn't start bad in the first episode, but as it goes on, you see more of the truncating happening, and then it culminates in that 5th episode where they're fighting their Dark Tournament finals, and yeah, it's like they kill Genkai, and it's like she was barely there, and then she's killed, and Yusuke's supposed to feel super like sad about it. It's like, what?
It's just a very common like martial arts trope to like kill the master. And especially, I might be crazy, but I thought they said originally that Toguro was one of Genkai's students. I don't know if that was a swerve or not, but I thought that was a change they made, and then they go back and they explain it, how it actually is. But I was like, oh my god! So like it really is just like the student killing the master with no prior connection to the character. So it really is just like the most rote, and it works fine. I mean that's a trope for a reason, because it's very exciting and interesting in a martial artist, fighting story kind of way. But like it really isn't like it isn't the same thing. It's pretty hollow.
It's a waste too when you have the other actors embodying the parts so well. And obviously you spent so much money on all the sets. Let's talk about the action. Yeah, there's so much CG. There's so much fucking extra CG that is like kind of good, but not quite Hollywood level still.
Most of it's fine, and then some of it, like the rippling water in like heaven, that like bit where they just, I'm like, ooh, it's just creepy. I don't know.
Whenever Koenma and Botan are talking about like, oh, we gotta track down the people, and there's some weird CG like liquid metal that's like throwing a projection. Why do we need that? We don't even need that. You could have just done a projection of like,
Zazz.
It's like money spent in the wrong place. Not on wigs.
I think the whole wigs things is a people issue. They didn't have the right person.
I think it's a Japanese culture thing, and I think it's based on cosplay because a lot of cosplay wigs are flat. It's like just a difference between like live action real wigs that you need in performance for film to look like real, as opposed to like cosplay, which is based most on pictures and photography. So it doesn't need to look like it's in movement. It just needs to look like it's still. I think that's what it's based on. That's just a guess of mine, though. Let's talk about the action. Because I really don't care for the action in this show that much. I think that's just my personal problem, though.
I really like the action in the show, actually. Besides it being the biggest commercial for drones ever, it is so drone heavy.
Again, more money spent on things you don't actually need.
Well, I mean, I would make the argument. Well, actually, I don't work in film. I'm not like a production expert. But I'm pretty sure you got to pay the drone operator, and they're probably well paid, because if they fuck up, then it's a lot of money they lose. But like once you have the drone, you have the drone. You can do literally anything you want with it, which is why drones are like used so heavily by amateur filmmakers and like indie films, because traditionally, if you want to film a shot looking down on a street, you'd have to rent out a crane, get the people who know how to work the crane, and put the camera on the crane, and everything have to be. And you probably have to get a bunch of fucking like zoning laws, because you're gonna bring a crane onto a street and lift it. You gotta make sure you're not gonna fuck up any of the power lines above the street. It's a huge pain in the ass, correctly producing a film just to get an overhead shot of somebody walking down the street, where now you just get a drone. And there are like laws and codes about using drones in residential areas, but it's a lot less complicated. Just don't fucking kill anybody. Don't break any property. So like drone is actually probably a huge money saver in this production, except for the fact that it's constantly being used. Like I feel like I don't know how much drone operators they must have on staff, because it's like literally almost every scene that has any action in it. It's just swooping everywhere and going crazy. And of course the scene where where he is using his third eye to find Yukina, or he finds one of her tears. That's just like a big drone demo. Just look how cool this drone you could buy is, and it's just swooping all over the place. It works a lot in Yu Yu Hakusho. What I think they get right in Yu Yu Hakusho, the live action, is they do a good job of translating the scrappiness of Yusuke being a really, really tough kid, and he does have superpowers, and he is way more resilient than a real life kid would be, because he gets punched against the wall, and that would probably like break your ribs, and you'd be fucked at that point. But he gets back up, right? Because it's fantasy. But like the scrappiness of him fighting these demons, when he fought Goki, even when he fought like the kid who got taken over by the bug that like
in the first episode,
yeah. Even when he fought that, it feels, half of it feels like a fight from like action scene, and the other half feels like it's a scene from Aliens, where like Sigourney Weaver's trying to get away from this alien that's like rampaging and could kill her very easily. And that I think was translated very, very well in this show. They get the physicality of Yusuke jumping over things and falling down, or jumping through a car window before he gets crushed. All that stuff looks grounded, and that was the most important thing for me. The choreography is fine. It's like, it's not really like a, it's not choreographed like a ballet or anything like that, which is good, because like I said, the scrappiness is a very important thing to communicate about Yusuke's character, because he's so much of an underdog in almost every single arc. He's always going up against like some sort of world-ending demon, and he's like a high school delinquent, right? That stuff is really well, and I was really surprised by how legitimate Toguro looked. He looks fake with his like big inflated muscles, But him running around, there's a scene early in the Toguro fight before Kurama and Hiei showed up, where I think Toguro tosses him across the stage, their battle arena, and then Toguro just he starts like sprinting at him, and like that's scary. It's like they did a good job of like with the sound design and the way Toguro looked to make it seem like this freaking 9 foot tall like muscle mountain was literally sprinting at your ass, and it was like I laughed a lot because like it could be like good meme fodder, but like I really really like the action in this. It's like one of the things I feel like they focused on a lot. Maybe they focused on it over things they should have focused on, like the story. But I could like just watching it, like you could tell the people involved really cared about it. The actors did it. I'm sure there's a ton of stuntmen involved, but the actors did a really good job. Whenever you could see them actually performing the physicality, scurrying on the floor, standing up, falling, all that stuff. Like I said, it just there's a level of commitment to it that I was kind of surprised when I watched it.
Yeah, I overall also liked the action. I had a slight problem with. So I think Yusuke, like you said, gets interpreted really well, um, in his physicality and in his action sequences. I feel less confident about the ways that Kurama and Hiei are shown. You don't see a ton of either of them fighting. Obviously, Yusuke fights in like every single episode. Um, but like when they're all kind of ganging up on Toguro, there were just like a bunch of things being done that I was like, I don't know if that's really how they would like approach this fight. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just I'm me being mad that I don't get to see like Kurama like very carefully like being the strategist, right? Like there's no he doesn't get a chance to like do that. Which is
No,
his
you're
whole
right.
shit.
Hiei and Kurama get scrappy at the end, and they shouldn't fight like that.
I mean, it's kind of a desperate time, and I'm okay with that to a degree. But again, we don't get to see them. We don't know what they fight like otherwise.
Yeah, you didn't get the contrast.
Also, Kurama almost never pulls a rose out of his hair. The fuck, guys! Suddenly,
I mean,
there's
that
just a
wig
whip
is
in
so
his hand.
bad.
It would fall off.
It's not possible.
He does pull a rose out of his sleeve at one point, which like I guess that's fine, but like, come on. Suddenly he just has a whip in his hand, and like you're just supposed to take that as okay. I don't know, man. Does it make more sense for him to be pulling, innumerable roses out of his hair? Not really, but like that's the shtick. I don't know.
The more I think about it, the more I dislike Kurama fighting Karasu at the end. Or Hiei.
Yeah.
Hiei is really bad.
Yeah. Well, I was mad about Yoko coming out, but I kind of thought that was inevitable. I was super mad about Dragon of the Darkness Flame because that's like a really really big deal in the Dark Tournament. It's like Hiei is like out of commission for a while after summoning the dragon, and it's just like I just feel so cheapened when he pulls it out for nothing. Like not nothing, but we don't know that Bui's. I don't know.
And you missed the commentary of everybody being like, "Oh my god, that's like the Dragon of the Black Flame. What the hell?" Like it doesn't have any of the context and gravitas of people reacting to it. It's just
manga here, manga and anime fans. Remember when he threw out the black dragon? That's cool. We did it.
Yeah, and it looked great, but come on.
Yeah.
I did appreciate they had him do his thing where he's like, well, I wasn't going to use this, but I have to because I don't know how to wrap this thing back up, which is basically what he says in the anime as well, which is very funny. And I appreciate, they did those little nods that were really good. Like there's a bit where Yusuke blasts Toguro through the wall, and I'm like, oh yeah, he does that in the Dark Tournament too. I appreciate those things as a fan. I have a hard time with it though when it's done completely outside of context.
There's a lot of that here. It's disappointing. Is what it is. It's like this production is not a bad thing. I know we're ragging on it a lot, but it could have been way better.
That's the thing, it's not bad. it's just like I don't want to rag on it because I do want more stuff. I want more successes, right, in live action. I would love to see these actors in these roles in another season. But it has problems. It's got a lot of problems, and it could have been, I don't know if I'm going to call it perfect, but it could have been really, really good, you know?
Oh yeah.
They were like halfway there.
Yeah, 5 episodes just seem too little either way, because like even if they did the same piece, which is much smaller in scope than like the Toguro stuff and the Dark Tournament stuff, they didn't do the Dark Tournament, but they featured some of the elements from it. Even for the same piece, the 5 episodes would feel pretty tight. So like I feel like if they did the same piece and gave it the whole 8 episodes that like One Piece had, that might have been, you know, what we thinking of.
Maybe then you could throw in the full training arc with Kuwabara and Yusuke,
or have a whole episode of Yusuke being dead and having to figure out how to come back, and you know they
put in Takenaka, the principal. He was cut out. He wasn't at the funeral scene. What the fuck?
Yeah. It was just that's my. I mean, like I've like envisioned a Yu Yu Hakusho movie, and the movie I envisioned is literally him being dead the whole movie. Like
so good.
Like I think that movie would work really well. Just him like Christmas caroling, looking at other people who like miss him, and like, you know, backing up Kuwabara as a spirit and all that stuff, and getting that camaraderie and respecting people that, you know, he spent his life with, but he didn't, or he felt like he didn't truly know. You know, it's a big part of the series, in my opinion, even though the series goes off to be a big demon battling brawl fest. So like, yeah, I really do feel like any adaptation of Yu Yu Hakusho that doesn't give that its due, that doesn't quite hit the mark. Even though I do agree that the first episode of the show is pretty solid because he is dead in it. But like it's not about like him, you know, going through an ordeal to see if he's worthy of coming back or something like that. It's about him having to become a spirit detective so he could come back and fight these demons. It's just the perspective is shifted incorrectly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the whole trying to grow his spirit egg and, you know, all those things. Like, there's no poo.
No poo.
Yeah.
Like I said, all characters of the Dark Tournament no longer exist in this live-action universe.
I feel like, you know, in the writer's room, they were like, okay, we've got to cover the Dark Tournament because that's the hot shit. And the Dark Tournament is definitely, I would say, the most popular. It's my favorite arc. I mean, everybody loves the Dark Tournament.
Do it for the second season!
Right, but I think they don't understand why people like it. Do you know why I like the Dark Tournament? It is an entire season of bromance. It's these guys, like, having feelings all over the place. There were no feelings in this quote-unquote Dark Tournament.
There's not even comedy.
There's not even comedy, except, did you see the post-credit scene? At the very last episode?
Oh, with the older Toguro, on the beach.
It's like, you could have put more of this in. Come on, guys. This is funny.
They tried to do comedy with Koenma, but it was just kind of like that, like, huh? Kind of like something outrageous happens and then they have a huh reaction to it. But like it was just kind of the same punchline. They did it like 3 times in the series.
And there's a little bit of the Hiei Kuwabara banter, which was fun. But yeah, we could have had more. We could have had Yusuke and Kuwabara horsing around more, for sure. Kuwabara is very serious. I mean, okay, let me step that back. Kuwabara is very serious as a character, but he's also super goofy, and we got some of that, but I feel like, I don't know, we could have pushed that further.
He didn't like shoot his sword through a bunch of like demon bear dogs and then link it like a donut, like an idiot.
Yes, I love that.
We could have had that.
A mulberry's a tree and Kuwabara's a man.
Yep, this stupid Kuwabara bravado.
I love it.
No, we're gonna just jump right to the end where he gets like taken out by Toguro. and then Yusuke's supposed to care. And it's just like, no build up, no build up.
Speaking of Kurobawa, they didn't establish. I mean, they made it kind of obvious in the show, but they didn't establish him having like spiritual powers, like in Layden,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual powers. But like he could
A little
see
bit.
he could see Botan, so like you
Yeah.
assume there's something special with him. But like it, in my opinion, that's different. That reads more like this person has superpowers or something like that, and it less reads like this guy's a sensitive, which is like a thing that people who believe in spirits believe that happens in real life. That's a real life. This heavy quotations. Anybody who like is super factual person who hates ghost stories and stuff is laughing at me. But like that's like a spiritual somebody with sensitivity to like the spirit world is like real thing, again with quotations, and Kurobawa happens to be one of those, and they explain it in the anime really well. There's that whole thing where he's just listing off things like the old lady with the axe that chases him home, and like all this scary shit that happens to him as a kid, that he's just dealt with, and it kind of explains a little bit how he is the way he is. Like all that stuff, it's just glossed over. With just like, oh, he could see Botan, so there's something unique happening there.
They could have done it with the 4 beasts. He could have been leading the other bros through like the castle, be like, I feel this way.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
This
and
is the safe path.
He's even kind of surprised that he can see Botan and nobody else can see Botan. Like, this is the first time that's ever fucking happened? You've got to be kidding me. He's 17.
When Kurobawa does the training thing, and they're training and he finally gets a spirit sword, and he cuts that rock in half, it's really funny because his hair is perfect. Even though leading up to that, he's been like covered in sweat and dirt. But like for that one scene, it's like they fix his hair up. And it's like, why? It should be disheveled. They took way more care with Yusuke being disheveled in his battles and his hair being fucked up.
Here's the thing. So, Yu Yu Hakusho, the original manga and anime, at its core, Yusuke is the most specialist, but the other characters are all equally special, right? Like, I don't feel like Yusuke is the main character for sure, but there are a lot of stories where other characters are side characters. I don't feel that way about Yu Yu Hakusho. I feel like every character, even minor ones. I mean, part of the reason people love the Dark Tournament is because there are all these extra characters that are really beloved, right? This series, this live action, treats Yusuke as the capital M, capital C main character without, and he's supposed to love his friends and protect his friends and everything, but those friends, they need equal weight. Even if they're not quite as equal as Yusuke, you know what I mean? They need to at least have, they need to be equal to each other to a certain degree, right? They need to be at the forefront much more. And I'm including Keiko and Botan and Genkai and frickin' Shizuru, who where the hell is she? And Atsuko, who's only in the first episode, Yusuke's mom. So, like, all of these characters are special, right? They're all really beloved characters, and they're just not getting the time.
I mean, with the limitation of the 5 episodes, I guess that's what they wanted to go for, and it's just it sucks. It sucks. It could have been way better.
And again, I don't want people to not watch this necessarily. Like, I do think there are a lot of things they did really well, and I do think that there were concerns about casting. I think when this was announced, like, how are you going to ever get the right character, the right cast? And they did an awesome job, awesome job on the casting, and these actors have done an awesome job. And I want that effort to be rewarded, right? Like, I think they got that so
they got
right.
halfway there, and they didn't finish the job. That's the extra disappointment. Like, live action adaptations, you always have to be like, well, this ain't gonna be good. And then you start watching, it's like, yo, Takumi Kitamura as Yusuke is fucking amazing.
He's perfect.
I guess he's also Takemichi in the live action Tokyo Revengers movies. I might check those out just to watch him.
Yeah, he's really entertaining. He's a very good actor. In the first episode, I was really excited because I'm watching, there's a scene where he's just walking, it's just like his back. but the way he's walking with his shoulders up like a delinquent, and the way his like uniform is,
the way he sneers, the way he always has kind of that frown on his face. He is Yusuke. He embodies that character perfectly.
There's a scene where Yusuke and Kuwabara, I think they're walking down the hall in the hospital, like, they're like that delinquent shuffle, and I'm like, look at them. I said to my husband, like, look at these perfect boys. Like, they're like they are these characters. They're doing such a good job.
You see that and you get so excited, and then the story truncation happens, and you're like, no, why?
And that's why I think that's why we're being so hard on it, because if it just sucked, we'd just be like, yeah, it sucked, don't watch it. But it's like, it didn't suck completely. Like, it could have been so good.
There's so much money put in a casino scene, and it's only there once.
If it was irredeemable, then we could just make rage bait content like Netflix is the fail. Or you could just like very easy content to do that kind of content, but it's kind of.
But it's not.
It's a missed opportunity. Mostly, it has a lot of the right ingredients, but they didn't cook it right.
I know, Dakazu, you were saying you didn't like the fight between Kurama and Karasu, and that's fair. But the casting for Karasu was really good. He was so good. He was like, I'm like, wow, they nailed it. Like, just amazing. What a creep.
But also no build up to that either. He just shows up.
Touching Kurama's hair out of nowhere. Like, I'm like, no, this tension needs to have existed. There's, Kurama's afraid of Karasu.
Yes.
That's like the point. Kurama's not afraid of anything, and he's afraid of Karasu. Like, that's...
Yep. Karasu has a good wig. One of the few good wigs. The other good wig is the wig they give Genkai. That wig is pretty good.
That one looks pretty good. Karasu's hair is beautiful. Well, they knew they had to give him the good hair, because he's got a lot of feelings about hair. Is he wearing a wig?
Yes.
It couldn't possibly be his real hair.
No, it's a wig. But it's black hair, so that helps too.
Yeah.
Not colored.
Yeah.
Cliff asks in chat, is there an anime manga you guys want to see put in live action next? No. The short answer is no.
I mean,
we don't really need it.
No, and same thing with this. Like, I'm always happy for some bonus content. Whatever, I'll watch it. I remember thinking once upon a time that Cowboy Bebop would be a really easy live action adaptation, and we saw how that went. Another one where I don't think it was 100% bad, but there were a lot of choices made that I just was like, why did you do that? Why would you do that? I think Yu Yu Hakusho is better than the Cowboy Bebop adaptation. I think it's not as good as the One Piece live action adaptation.
Yeah.
I've only seen one episode of One Piece, but we watched it, and I mean, my husband loves it, and we were just like, my husband loves One Piece. And we watched that first episode, and he was like, wow, this is really good. Like, they did a really good job. And again, the main actor that they chose for Luffy is excellent.
Yeah, the One Piece live action, it does the right idea of taking the right amount of material and the right amount of episodes and cutting what needs to be cut without skipping things and rushing to moments. It has the proper build-up. It's nice. Yu Yu Hakusho only got halfway there.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I mean, there are things where I'm always willing to give a live action series a benefit of the doubt. Like, even when this was announced, I'm like, okay, well, like, let's see what happens. When One Piece was announced, I was deeply skeptical, because that's like a really kind of weird and out there series, and yet they made it work. They made it really work. I thought Yu Yu Hakusho would be easier to adapt than One Piece, and here I am.
Nope.
Eating my foot.
The secret sauce is the care. The care, and not just like the fandom and appreciation, but the care to like make it a good story above all else.
I
Yeah.
like.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I like live action adaptations. I've watched shoujo series are pretty straightforward. They usually take place at school. They're usually pretty good. Like stuff like that. Like, that's fine. I don't mind live action adaptations, but I never feel like I really desperately need one.
Cliff says he wants live action Spy Family. I say no. Do you know why? Child actors are bad. They already had a Spy Family musical, and let me tell you, bad singing. No. No, there's a lot of like musical versions of like Fushigi Yugi. There was a stage play of Yu Yu Hakusho, which I heard had like very good costumes. And that was not a musical, so maybe I'll look at that, but
I do think in terms of story and like visuals, Spy Family would not be super complicated to adapt live action. Like I think it would translate well.
I mean, they're gonna be doing the Attack on Titan Hollywood movie, so expect to see bad shit there.
Wait, was that announced? I forgot about that.
I'm pretty sure that was announced.
I'm not gonna watch it, so you guys have fun.
I mean, like, you can do the Hollywood adaptation of, like, manga anime okay and pretty good. Alita Battle Angel, Darfox and I like. We think, but that had people making it who care about that shit.
Right. Well, that's like every, I don't know, few years somebody's talking about a live action Akira done by Hollywood. And I have a lot of strong feelings about that.
Oh yes, we've talked about that as well.
Nope.
And again, I don't necessarily feel like it can't be done, but I would want to make sure that the people who are doing it know what they've got.
But also, we don't need it. We have the fucking anime movie.
No, we don't need it. It's
Let's go watch that.
Watch the anime. Like every time, I'm like, oh yeah, Akira's good, and then I watch, and I'm like, God, Akira's so fucking good. It just looks good. Like there's that. I mean, I talk about it all the time, but there's the famous, they're zipping around on their bikes, and like the light trails from the bike headlights is just like mind blowing to me. Like so gorgeous. I don't know. That kind of care, I feel, isn't taken in with a lot of films these days. A lot of anime films, to that level. I don't know. I have a lot of strong feelings about Akira, and I have feelings about it, what it says, culturally and politically, and that is, I think, the reason I have a problem with Hollywood taking it, because Hollywood is kind of culturally,
they don't always
get
it.
Devoid.
They just look at a creative license and they think money, because there's a huge fan base. It's the same application of video game movies. I was watching YouTube, like, what do they call them?
Shorts?
No, like H Bomber guy.
Oh, essay, a video essay.
Yeah, I was watching a video essay on like why Hollywood video game adaptations are shit most of the time. And it really comes down to like them not only looking at moments and not really understanding the script. They're comparing like the Sonic movie to the very first Super Mario Brothers movie. Have you seen that very first Super Mario Brothers movie, Morgana?
I have not. The only Mario Brothers movie I've seen is the most recent one, which was fine.
Right. And I think it did really well. And it was mostly a straight adaptation, and that's what you need for a video game movie, because you need to basically address it for the fans, because they're the ones who want to see it. That's why Sonic did really good after they reanimated and redid the character from the initial Teeth Sonic.
I still gotta wonder what they were thinking with that one, but
the Hollywood execs were just like, let's make it more human-based, so it fits in with the human characters.
No.
And it was dumb, and they made the best call to like change that character and make it more like the video games, and everyone that's people like that movie. They say that's a good movie, and it did really well in theaters. And like the live action Last of Us on HBO, of course, was like very good. But you have to look at Yu Yu Hakusho or like a manga or anime license and an IP, and you have to really think the fandom of this, if we want to appeal to them and get them to watch this and appreciate it, we have to put in the work. What is the appeal of Yu Yu Hakusho?
I also think that's true for people, to get people who've never interacted with it. Like, again, I've seen people who had not bothered to check out One Piece the manga or One Piece the anime, watch the live action, and go back and think, "Wow, this was really good. I'm gonna go read this." I mean, like, I know somebody who owns a comic book shop who has done this. Like, he watched it and was like, "Wow, that was really good. I'm gonna, read the manga now. I never read it before." Like, it's not like he's somebody who didn't know about it. He just he couldn't be bothered, and now, So I think that if you want to get new people, you also have to really find the thing that makes it special. Because I don't think this adaptation, like my husband said, like, if he hadn't watched the anime, he wouldn't really be invested in this adaptation.
Yeah, it's like no new person who knows nothing about Yu Yu Hakusho is gonna watch this live action, and I think it's gonna make them want to check out the manga or the anime. Because
unless they think the actors
Morgana,
are
your mic
hot.
is popping real quick.
Sorry, still?
No, I would disconnect and reconnect real quick.
Hello.
Yes, that's better.
Okay, great. I totally forgot what I was going to say, though. Oh, unless they think the actors are hot, and so they want to check out the original. That's fair. There's some pretty hot actors.
I mean, we already mentioned all the things like the Darkness Dragon showing up in that 5th episode out of nowhere, and yeah, it's just there's too many things that are like cut out and pieced together for this live action series that doesn't really work. So like I just can't see someone who knows nothing about Yu Yu Hakusho watching this and thinking that's pretty good. I'll read the manga. I think they'll just be like, okay, that was okay, and then they'll move on with their lives.
That's what these crazy kids are these days. Oh, that's crazy. I guess them go put on Fox News or something. I don't know. What
No, they're probably like, this is what everyone's talking about. This old thing that's like so good. I don't know, man. It's all right.
You say it cuts out stuff, but it even cuts out personality wise, because like Genkai doesn't have that whole like, oh, I'll teach my techniques to anybody who like passes this tournament, regardless of who they are. So like you really don't get like how much of just like upfront of just like how much of a nasty person Genkai comes off as, and just how harsh she can be, and how like deep her love can run as well. In contrast to that, you don't get any of that, bro. OB, get the fuck. What the fuck?
Okay, he's not wrong. Genkai is goals. I mean, like, okay, for context for people who are not in the chat right now, LB says, well, he says that Genkai's sexy, basically, and he ain't wrong.
You said it in such a nicer way.
I respect Genkai as a woman. But seriously, she is the woman I want to be when I'm old and grizzled. It's not even that she's nasty. She's Yusuke, but with like discipline and talent that he doesn't. Not even talent, discipline and like experience that he just doesn't have. I think that's like so much of why they clash and also love each other so much. You know what I mean? Like, she's just a grouchy old son of a gun, and yeah, she's very much all business in this live action adaptation.
Again, very little comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can just keep sitting here and nitpick at all the small things.
All the small things.
Oh boy, Blink 182. I was gonna mention there is an Easter egg of Smile Bomb in the first episode. Did you both catch that?
Yeah,
Yes.
the truck driver.
Mm-hmm.
I was very pleased.
I remember Tyler was complaining about how violent that scene was, and I was like, "Why is it a truck? It wasn't a truck in the anime or manga."
It's pretty fucking violent though.
I mean, it is super violent, but also he was complaining about the fact that it was a truck, and I was like, "That's like the least of your problems is the fact that it's a truck. That it really doesn't matter that it's a truck."
Also, Yusuke looks pretty good after being hit by that truck.
Yeah, getting stuck beneath all the wheels and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's some.
He should be more of a mangled mess.
That's some hamburger meat territory there.
Yep. Is there anything we missed? We've been going on for a bit.
I was just gonna say something about watching Yusuke get like totally slammed as a real live human instead of a cartoon makes so much of the action seem so much less plausible. Like he gets thrown against a wall, and I'm like, that's like you're dead. Like I don't even that's not you would survive this. I don't understand.
Yeah.
He's a scrappy high school kid. Oh, what is it to tell?
They
mean,
truncate his like spirit power protecting him and all that stuff like way too much.
You could still get a concussion, man. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, there are things done to that teenage body that it would not survive if any of this was real.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to mention, Morgana? Or I think we should start wrapping up.
Just that I have finally been inspired to buy the goddamn Blu-ray box set of Yu Yu Hakusho. I think partially because of I had been avoiding Amazon. I found it on eBay actually. The box is not in pristine condition, but that is fine. I don't need the box to be in pristine condition. I just want to watch the goddamn OVAs.
That's right. You got to watch that new thing. They animate the end. Yeah. And the extra. They animate the end of the manga.
Yes. So I will report back when I've finally seen those.
Lightning Ball has yet to unwrap his Blu-ray box set.
Do it, LB. Treat yourself. Watch that instead of live action adaptation.
I feel bad saying that, but
yeah, I mean, okay.
But if you're a Yu Yu Hakusho fan, it's disappointing. That's what's happening, Morgana. We're Yu Yu Hakusho fans, and we're disappointed.
It's not even just that it's disappointing. It's like it's betrayal. It's betrayal because we got so close to something so beautiful. Could have been good.
Like focus of like so much set detail and money spent on that, and not enough money on wigs or the story.
These wigs, man. Okay, they're
There'll
bad.
always be wigs. Darfox, your final thoughts on wigs?
Wigs, the television show.
Didn't really notice the bad wigs. I think
How dare you?
I think I could tell they're bad, but yeah. I noticed more of the drone shots.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Lot of drone shots. Some of it was kind of impressive. But yeah, like I said, I actually enjoyed a lot of it. It's just it's tough when you're crushing so much stuff into 5 episodes. Impossible to do it right.
I'm telling you, my version would have worked.
It would have, and again, I do want to emphasize. I think that some of the choices they made in order to move things along were not bad choices. I think slamming the Dark Tournament in at the end of a 5-episode series was a bad idea. Mostly, I think it.
I wasn't even slamming the Dark Tournament, Morgan. They just erased the Dark Tournament and just wanted to put Toguro into this. Yeah.
I think it was really the last 2 episodes where I kind of started to feel like, okay, this isn't gonna work. The first couple, I was like on board for a while there. I thought it was going good. But yeah, it's tough, buddy.
It's tough. All right, I think we've said our piece about Netflix's Yu Yu Hakusho. If you have comments or questions, let us know. And let us wrap up this episode. I want to thank Darfox and Morgana for joining me this week. Reminder that next week we're going to be reading Henkaipan by Eldo Yoshimizu. Stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed Manga Machinations, make sure to subscribe to us, review us, rate us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you can find us. If you want to support us, buy us a coffee. Head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac. And I'll be putting up a new coffee goal. And hopefully we'll be having an announcement about our scheduling for our goals that we've reached so far, which are the Berserk Psycho Selection and the retrospective on Ooku, the Inner Chambers. Check out our website, mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. Join our Discord server. Head over to discord.me/mangamac. We're still doing Mahjong Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come join our Discord and come talk to us about that. Or come ask us questions. You can also send questions or comments to our email, mangamachinations@gmail.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/mangamactv, where we do our live recordings. And follow us on social media, @MangaMac Podcast. That's Manga, M-A-C, Podcast. That'll be for Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, everything else. Or you can follow me on social media, @Dakazu. Follow Darfox @Darfox8. And follow Morgana @MorganaRelina. Alright, everyone, thank you so much for listening to us this week. Bye-bye.